Welcome to episode 30 of The Leap Home. Sea Bride.
In this week's episode, Sam must prevent a former lover marrying a villain on a cruise ship without getting himself murdered. With the help of the bride-to-be's 11-year-old sister, Sam has to convince her not to go ahead with the planned nuptials. But can he make his case effectively? Or will he be forced to accept the kind of offer you can't refuse?
Oh, a midnight swim. You know, there's nothing more erotic than a couple of wet
Al, I'm not going there to be erotic.
Good evening, Ian. How are you feeling?
In no way erotic, Gerry. How are you feeling?
I'm glad to hear it. Likewise.
Same as every other podcast at that one time.
Listen, we were drinking.
The less said about that one, the better. Folk can go back to the catalogue and find it.
There's a couple of clues if you know what you're listening for. Me saying no.
This episode was right up Sam's alley, wasn't it?
Well, you'd have thought so. However, it's always the same when he should be, or he's expected to act in a certain way. He doesn't.
He has more issues with it. He got into it eventually.
He did, yeah.
I'm not sure they took full advantage of the whole being on a boat thing. It was just kind of there.
Yeah, there was no sort of plot device that required it.
No, they could have done the exact same story in New York somewhere else, or any other city.
Would that have been the same as the one on the train also?
Well, the one on the train was fun. You had to run up and down the cabins and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was about two different scenes.
Yeah,
both cabins.
Two cabins, which is the same cabin filmed from a different angle, probably.
What did you think of it? Did you, after seeing it, did it make you sick?
No. Yeah.
Yeah, it was alright.
Yeah. It wasn't that good.
No.
Let's be honest.
Probably won't watch it again.
No. Ever. Before we get into the nitty gritty,
racist.
Talk about our
racist.
What, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I apologise profoundly. Before we get into the deep details, shall we talk about social media?
Sure.
As usual, people can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Leap Home Podcast. They can find us on Facebook at The Leap Home, and they can find show notes for every episode at theleaphome.com. If they go to YouTube, they'll get each episode 1 week early, and they can leave comments, and they can like it, they can subscribe, and hit the wee bell to be notified as soon as a new episode appears, although it's the same time every week.
Although what you said earlier was racist, it was actually appropriate as well.
Was it?
Mm-hmm. Apparently, knits and grits were to be found in the between the planks of slave ships.
Oh, okay.
That's where it comes from.
Interesting. Well, for a nautical episode, we'll go with it. Or not, because it's racist, but you know. Let's get into those important micro details.
I think what you mean to say is let's crack on.
Same intro as last week.
Yes. And then we find ourselves in a cabin where Sam has leapt into a turtleneck and double-breasted blazer.
Yeah, it takes him a moment to find his sea legs.
Have we got to do this all episode?
No. But he does stumble a wee bit.
Yeah.
He looks out the window or the porthole. I don't know.
Well, I was, when taking notes, I was saying things like the corridor, and I thought there's probably a galley or so, I don't know. But I'm going to stick with non-nautical terms.
Okay.
Keep it simple. Yeah, he looks out the window.
He sees that he's right outside New York City. The Statue of Liberty is right there. And there's a floral arrangement on his table saying, "We have not yet begun to fight, Jay."
What does that mean?
Well, we'll find out that it's an encouragement from the sister of his victim / target.
And with a bemused look, he wonders if it is John Paul Jones that is being referred to. Now, did you have any trivia on that?
No, what's the reference?
Okay, so we've got two Scottish connections in this episode.
Go for it.
John Paul Jones is not. They're not referring to the bass player from Led Zeppelin in this episode. They're talking about the Scottish American father of the US Navy. He was born in Kirkcudbright, then emigrated to the States. So yes, the father of the American Navy was a Scotsman. So that's the first connection.
They invented a lot of things, the Scots.
Well, some things they take.
Yeah, we're taking credit
for the TV and things
television,
like that. Or radio,
penicillin, tarmac, all these important things. Tires, poetry. Sam takes a look in the mirror and he sees he's a fairly sturdy fairly sort of non-specific, no particular defining features to his face.
Are you sure this is the point where he looks in the mirror? I thought it was later on. No, it's later on.
He looks in the mirror and then he gets smashed from behind by a door.
He does, yes, as a woman in a white sort of ball gown bursts in, calling him Philip, before pushing him up against the wall and giving him a passionate kiss, followed by
A slap and then being asked why he's there.
at which point we have an oh boy and head to the credits. And when we return, we see an exterior of the Queen Mary and are provided with the date.
It's June the 3rd, 1954.
Back in the cabin, the woman, now I think her name is Catherine Farrington, is that right?
Yeah, I keep getting the surname mixed up. Farrington.
We'll just call her Catherine from now on. Yeah.
Okay.
She reveals that they thought he was dead, although she herself didn't believe it and wants to know why he didn't come home.
I think there's one problem with this episode is that we don't get enough for the immediate period before this cruise. So he's been married to her.
Mm-hmm.
He's headed off to Bora Bora on a boat. He's been shipwrecked and presumed dead. And her father had their marriage annulled and she's off marrying somebody else. How long ago was this?
3 years.
3 years. What's he done in that period?
He was on an island molesting his pet monkey and drinking from coconuts.
How did he get back?
He fashioned a raft.
When did he get back?
6 months ago. Am I building up the backstory? Is this?
Yeah, well, this
satisfy
is
you?
the thing, because we don't... Obviously, the younger sister knows that he's back. She's been in communication with him.
Mm-hmm.
Presumably, he's tried to speak to her when he got back and been told, no, you're dead, go away.
Yep.
And then
So
he's
he's
found out she's getting married on this cruise and booked himself on the cruise.
Uh-huh.
But she talks to her like she hasn't spoken to him or seen him.
She's not, I don't think. That kiss would indicate it's the first time that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless he's tried to communicate with her and he's been blocked, either by the father or by the future husband. Probably by the father, because he comes to intervene in a moment.
Yes, I'm not sure if she has only just found out that he's alive, or...
Her reaction's a bit understated if she's only just found out he's alive.
I think she's recently found out he's alive, maybe in the last month or so.
Yeah.
And the family, the father has tried to discredit him for these actions.
Yeah, why has he not come back? What's he been up to? Yeah.
So this is the first time she's seen him, but she was aware that he was alive.
Okay. So, she says, as I mentioned there, he went off to think one afternoon and then 3 years later, there's a message from Bora Bora saying he's been stranded there.
Yeah.
Back
it's not the 1800s. Is it really? Can you really get stranded in
Bora Bora?
Yeah, and still survive?
And not be able to get back?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Seems unlikely. Anyway, she unconvincingly tells him that she's over him and that she's going to marry Vincent the next day and he can't stop her. Though I think it's clear that she's not convinced herself that...
Yeah, she's talking to herself as much as she is to him. She tells him to get out, but there's a problem.
Yeah, he points out it's his room.
Yeah, I don't know how he knows that.
Yeah, precisely, yeah.
It could very easily be her room.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah. But with nice timing, she says, before going to exit. And I must admit, there's a couple of scenes. It's played for laughs and it's some physical comedy as well, which I did appreciate.
It was good. It was good. Before she leaves, however, there's a knock at the door.
Yeah, she panics when her daddy, who is Weathers Farrington, that's a stupid name, Weathers.
Yeah. He came up with the sweeties.
The original.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knocks on the door and demands that Dumont, who is Philip, aka Sam, open the door before he breaks it down.
This is where we get this sort of physical comedy now as he shoves her in a cupboard.
Yes, and she sort of falls back. There's a touch of the Laurel and Hardy
a little bit
about it.
slapsticky, yeah.
And we have some more comedy as I think Weathers is counting to 3 before he breaks it down and has to add a half because Sam's not opened it at that point.
Yes, but when he goes to break it down, it's perfectly timed.
Yeah, and it's at this point he notices himself in the mirror.
No, he did it earlier.
No, I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure he was looking in the mirror.
Oh, how sure are you?
73%.
Okay. Any listeners, that's your task.
Tell us who was wrong.
Yeah.
He might notice himself in the mirror both times.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he opens the door just as Weathers goes to break it down, which leads to him stumbling into the room comically.
Yes. He gets up, brushes himself down, but it's not a happy man, and doesn't buy Sam's suggestion that it is a coincidence he has appeared at his daughter's wedding.
The same kind of coincidence that got you two married in the first place? That coincidence took 3 years and a fortune in psychiatrist fees to undo.
Maybe if we all would just kind of come out of the closet and talk about it.
There's nothing to discuss, Dumont. You closed that conversation when you chose to run away rather than work for Farlington Nautical. If you show one perfect hair around me, my daughter, or any member of my family, I'll... Harvard, middleweight champion, 1919.
Very sorry, Mr. Dumont. Miss Farlington refused to accept these, so the concierge suggested we bring them back to you.
Coincidence, eh? That's it, Dumont. Let's have it out right now. Mano a mano.
That means man to man, Sam.
Sir.
I know what it means.
Then get your dukes up.
I really think that there's been some mistake here.
No, not yet, but there's going to be if you
Only
don't
if you
stop
try and stop
Catherine
Catherine from marrying Vincent.
Vinny the Viper.
Vinny the Viper?
I will not allow any future son-in-law of mine to be slandered by the likes of you.
Slandered? It's not slander, Sam. This Vincent Loggia has a bad habit of using people as cement additives.
Vincent Loggia may not be as reputable as you may think.
Why? Because he's willing to join Farlington Nautical and help pull it out of the red? Something you were unwilling to do?
These are extremely heavy, sir.
Tell him to take him back to her.
Take him back.
I won't allow it.
Why not?
It is unacceptable for an engaged woman to receive flowers from her ex-husband.
As a token of Philip's friendship.
As a token of my friendship and wishes for a happy new life.
So we get some good information there. His company's going bust and the new husband's going to help shore it up.
Yeah, he's going to help with his dubious resources.
His proceeds of criminal activity, presumably.
Yeah. In any case, he reluctantly agrees to allow the flowers to be sent as a platonic gift, but demands Sam's word that he will stay away from Catherine, which he enthusiastically confirms.
Yeah, Sam offers his solemn word of honour, which has no value to Weathers.
No, he's not a Harvard man.
Yes, therefore has no honour.
And then he leaves the cabin. At this point, Al reveals that Ziggy thinks Sam is there to prevent the wedding happening, as Philip and Catherine were crazy about each other, and that they only got a divorce as Weathers convinced her that he was dead rather than marooned.
Sam here, though, does his usual thing of completely forgetting there's another person who can hear him and talking openly with Al. Yes,
because Catherine's still hiding in the closet, although I think by the state of her when she comes out, she won't have heard much. I think
she's
muffled in
talking
there.
rather than what was being said.
Yeah, because there's another knock at the door, but when
another comedy moment.
Yeah, but when it's opened, there's no one there, and Sam remembers who is in the closet.
It's the knocking's coming from inside the closet, and Catherine is released, impressing Al with Sam's progress so far. Yeah, well, she when you say released, she falls out and is hyperventilating. Yeah, Al persuades Sam to unbutton her dress, and she then says that she did hear him talking to somebody after her father left. Yeah, he claims he's got a bad habit of talking to himself, and she asks why he is there. All he says, though, is he's actually responding to Al at this point. He says, please, which she takes as a response to her. And as he searches for a more substantial answer, Al informs him that in the original timeline, he kills himself when he can't stop the union, and she dies of a broken heart just 2 years later. At this point, she tells Sam that if he has any love left in his heart for her, could he please just jump off the boat and swim back to New York? And Al, I think he suggests that this may be what actually happened, as he did kill himself by jumping. Yeah. Al contends that this could be true love on this occasion, but he gets into a bit of an argument with Sam, who brings up aspects of Al's own past. Yeah, he's sceptical that he would know about such a thing, but concedes that the number of attempts he's had at finding true love... Maybe it was 5 minutes. Yeah. But an indignant Al tells him that it did happen to him. He did find his true love and he got married to her, but changes the subject when Sam asks why he is no longer married to her. Now, at this point, I've taken a note. She's dead, isn't she? She must have died. Don't know. We'll find out. Well, but it's obvious. Okay. Could be wrong. Al doesn't say anything, though, about that because there's another knock at the door, and it is a very young person in a very hilarious disguise.
Yeah, well, okay, before we get to that, Sam thinks he's got an easy solution.
Okay, what's that?
He won't jump. He won't kill himself. But Al reminds him of Vinny the Viper and
Yes.
says that he can't let Catherine marry him.
Of course. And then, like I say, this younger person in the big coat and the big hat shows up.
What did you think of her? I quite liked her.
Quite precocious.
Very precocious, yeah.
Not as irritating as some precocious children.
No, certainly not. Who is she?
She is Catherine's younger sister, Jennifer.
Jennifer Elizabeth. We'll just call her Jen.
It's called Jenny by her family.
Okay, we'll call her Jen. We're not her family.
Okay. She tells Sam that Catherine is locked up in her cabin, confused and miserable, which means that everything is going to plan.
And she goes on to mention that they have a problem with the Viper.
Yeah, she heard his hench/best man saying that if Sam sets 1 foot near Catherine, he's going to chop him up and feed him to the fishes, at which point Al realises that maybe Philip didn't commit suicide after all.
Indeed.
Brief exterior of the ship, and then back to the cabin. Not much time's passed.
No, we return to Jen concede that while Vinny is weird, he probably hasn't killed anyone, but that's not how he's portrayed.
No, but she's only young, so it's maybe been hidden from her a little bit.
But Al, he confirms that he's never been convicted of that sort of crime, although he has been found guilty of 3 felonies.
Oh.
Now, is a felony not quite a serious charge?
Yeah. A felony means it's above state level.
Yes.
It's at a national level.
Of course. So that would be maybe sort of 10 years. I don't know. You don't get a 1 year for a felony.
Well, it just depends what the felony is and to what extent he was involved. He might have got a plea deal on it, or he might have given evidence against somebody else.
Just thinking, like 3 times, you would have a hefty sentence, I'd have thought.
I mean, there's no suggestion that he's on the run or anything like that.
No, he's not.
No.
That's the other thing as well. He's quite a bit older, isn't he?
Yeah, he is older than Catherine anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and Catherine's quite a bit older than her sister.
Quite a lot older than her sister.
About 20 years.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Jen insists that Catherine loves Sam, but he's dubious on account of having been slapped.
Yeah, but she says this was a sign of passion and that falling for him was the only good decision she's ever made in her life. That's quite scathing. The only good decision.
For an 11-year-old who's only been around really for the last 5 or 6 years aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
Al agrees with that assessment. He thinks getting slapped is a sign of true love.
And she then begs him to talk to her and hugs him when he agrees. And he sends her on her way to dinner.
And thanks her for the flowers.
Yes. At which point Al updates him. Tells him that the chances are that he is there to get Vinny out of Catherine's life without Philip being harmed himself, and that as she is already in love with him, all he has to do is convince her the feeling is mutual.
Yeah, and he's off to get the lowdown on Vinny, which Sam says is an easy job, and wonders why Al always gets those.
This task, this objective, should be right up creepy Sam's street, surely you'd have thought.
Yeah, it makes someone fall in love with you, that's fine. You can do that, but only if he fancies her.
He's a weird guy.
He really is. Down in Catherine's cabin, an old man is complaining, I think the father of the groom.
I think so, yes.
He's complaining about nobody having any respect as Catherine tries to tell everybody to go away. He's not happy with her behaviour.
No.
Neither is her husband-to-be, Vinny, who resolves to have a long talk with her after the wedding before yelling at her to come out of, I presume, the bathroom. Yeah,
and I think at this point as well, his henchman, his best man, says that he will tell her all about Italian men and how they expect people to
It's very ominous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Vinny starts beating on this door that she's got locked.
Well, no, first of all, he tries to woo her by telling her that he will tear it down if she doesn't come out, and then gets very aggressive when she declines.
Which doesn't seem to bother anybody else in the room.
Well, that's the thing. The father himself, Jennifer, she's bothered by it. She's the only one that sort of stands up or thinks this is out of order. Weathers is
intimidated, I think.
Is very intimidated, but it's disgraceful behaviour on his part.
Yeah. Vinny then tells Weathers in what I would say sign of disrespect that he has to get his women to dinner in the next 7 minutes, and then he and his henchman and his father leave.
Yeah, I mean, Weathers is he's terrible. He's very meek. I
think he's compromised though by the financial position of his business. Of course, yeah. So the fact is he has to go along with this, otherwise he, as far as he can see, he's going bust, and that's a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, I think he laughs at this the behaviour of Catherine, tries to play it down, saying, "Oh, that's what marrying his wife did on on their wedding night.
And we later find out that it was a similar situation.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Catherine's mother, Marion, is sobbing as the men leave, and Jennifer says that the family is feeding her sister to the Romans.
Yeah. I mean, she's the only one. She Marion, that is, she asked the right question, like, how can we do this to our daughter? She's obviously not happy.
No. Well, having gone through it.
Mm-hmm.
But Weathers contends that it's the lions that we're feeding her to, but we're not actually doing that. It's just a wedding. And Catherine at this point comes out checking that the goons have gone.
Yeah, and she tells her father that she doesn't think that she can get through with the whole sort of charade. But he tells her that as a Farrington, she can go through with anything, and is unconcerned that she doesn't love him, as he thinks there is more to it than that, which he asks his wife to agree with.
Yes. And he then sends his wife and the younger girl away before having a heart-to-heart with his oldest daughter.
You do like Vincent, don't you?
Wow.
He likes you.
Daddy, he likes me because I'm blonde, went to Vassar and speak English, a language completely foreign to him.
Catherine, the shipping business is about to go under. Oh, God, do I hate the way that sounds. And Vincent has offered to buy us out.
Is that why he's the first man you've ever approved of?
Kate. He'll take care of you. The way you deserve to be taken care of. And with the sale of the company, I'll be able to take care of your mother and Jenny. Give her all the opportunities that I was able to give you as a young girl.
Daddy, I want Jenny to have all the wonderful things I had growing up. But I really think that you should love someone if you're going to marry them.
Like Philip. I remember week after week you cried, and there was nothing I could do to take the hurt away.
I don't know what I would have done without you.
You survived Philip's love, and I think it's time now you take a little responsibility for your life.
Daddy, will I ever?
Yes. You'll learn to love him, and you'll have children, and you'll always have us.
I'll go get ready for dinner now, Daddy.
That's my little girl.
There's a couple of things. I mean, I've got an issue with the characterisation or the development of this Vinny character. I don't know why we expect Catherine to be into him at all. Normally you would see the sort of the good side, the charming side of these bad guys, and then something happens and the darker side comes out and you go, all right, but you understand why she might have fell for him in the first place. But all we've seen from him is he's just been an arsehole. Yeah,
he's not shown any charm at all, and it doesn't seem like she's been stiff-armed or strong-armed into this situation.
Yeah.
Like, she feels like she can say, I'm not sure if I love him, I might not want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And her father talks to her about it rather than it being, you're doing it, we need the money, shut up and get on with your... But I mean, it's not like that.
No, and the fathers are even more of a disgrace than Vinny.
Oh, he just is. I think he values his worth as a man on the value of his business.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's failing means he feels he's failing as a father and as a husband. And this is the only solution that he sees to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's terrible.
Yeah.
We get a bit of a time skip now. It's now after dinner in Sam's cabin, where he is explaining to Al that he tried to speak to Catherine at dinner and it didn't work.
She rejected 2 of his notes and is refusing to talk to him. So Al suggests using Jenny to try and get some alone time with Catherine. But Sam shows that she has done her part by getting them a key to the first class pool, which Al thinks would be very erotic, as we heard.
We did hear that at the top of the show. But Al has another idea.
What's that?
He said there's one way to get intimate with somebody in a room full of people.
Have an invisibility cloak?
It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But he means dancing.
Ah, yeah. Okay, so we head to the ballroom. Sam arrives and asks the fake French band leader to play a tango, and then grabs Catherine and pulls her onto the dance floor.
He tells her everybody is watching and that she looks gorgeous, while Vinny seethes at the side of the room.
Yeah, he wants to shoot him on the spot, and then Sam asks her to meet him tonight at the pool to which Jenny secured this key. She eventually agrees to meet if he will leave her alone after she's done this.
Yeah, it says that if that's what she wants after this conversation, then he will do.
And after the dance, did you like the dancing?
It was quite good.
It's all right, wasn't it? Yeah. He guides her back to her seat.
He gets a bit cocky at this point.
Yeah, he does. We've seen this a few times before, that especially when he's singing. But once he gets into it, he realises he enjoys it. And we do know that he's got a musical bent.
Yes, he does. Jenny throws him a rose and he kind of styles his way off the dance floor before being intercepted by Vinny and the henchman at the exit. Yeah,
who tells him that the waltz will have cost him his life, and Sam can't help but try and be a smart ass.
He has to correct him, it was a tango. They move outside.
So we're on the deck. Vinny and the henchman discuss who'll be shooting him, and even though he is offered a lifeline, when Vinny tells him that he doesn't want to have to kill him here, Sam can't help but antagonise him.
Yeah, he doesn't even try and be sneaky here. He just says, yeah, no, I'm going to try and persuade her not to marry you, basically.
Yeah, lie. Say whatever you need to say to get out of being murdered.
Situation, yeah. Vinny says he's going to try a different approach. As a businessman, Sam being there is bad for his future business prospects, which offends him. Sam tells him, though, that he cannot be threatened out of Catherine's life, and only she can tell him that he has to go, which breaks Vinny's patience.
Does it?
He says, give me the gun. Now, give me the gun. But as his henchman is fumbling for the gun, the captain arrives, looking like Captain Birdseye himself.
Yeah, he is impressed by the tales he's heard of Sam's sailing that saved his life when he was marooned.
So how's he heard these tales? And his ex-wife hasn't heard the tale?
Yeah, he questions him on some of these sailing skills, and luckily Al arrives at this point to coach him in some technical answers and advises that he offer to plot his course for him in the bridge, which will allow him to escape with the captain.
And feeling like he's made his break, he is a bit cocky again, handing his rose and drink to Vinny and the henchman.
What's he all about? So in the corridor, and now alone with the captain, Sam nearly collapses with relief before opening up about the dangerous situation he finds himself in.
I heard you had no sextant or watch. How did you compute your longitude? Mr. Dumont, you all right?
Yeah. Listen, Captain. The reason I pulled you aside is that I have reason to believe that Vincent Loggia is going to kill someone on this cruise.
Who? Him?
Me.
Mr. Dumont, I realize that Mr. Loggia's about to marry your ex-wife, but I'm sure...
He's a convicted felon.
3 times?
3 times convicted.
You certain?
The New York police have his record.
The New York police can fax you his criminal record.
Fax?
Telegraph.
Cable. Have him cable Lieutenant Brown.
Cable Lieutenant Brown in the 4th Precinct.
I'll wire this Lieutenant Brown. But if this is a ruse to prevent Mr. Loggia from marrying your ex-wife, his fellow sailor or not, I'll have to confine you to your cabin.
Yes, I understand, sir.
Now, without a sextant, without a watch, how did you compute your longitude?
I don't understand what Sam's trying to achieve here.
What do you mean?
What's the captain meant to do with this information? He's a felon, but he's not on the run, so he's allowed to be on the boat.
I think that perhaps, the captain's going to be marrying them, and he might offer some, I don't know, advice or be able to back up or support his claims. Maybe the rest of the family don't know about this, so if they won't believe him, but if the captain can back it up, then maybe they'll have second thoughts. Yeah.
Back in Sam's cabin, he's managed to get there safely now, and this is despite Vinny having told his henchmen to follow Sam earlier on. Yeah, we hear Al complaining about the environmental impact of the ship. Not the first time we've heard Al complain about environmental issues. Is it not? I think in an earlier episode he was unhappy about something that Sam thought was irrelevant. The nappies, maybe? Yes, disposable nappies, okay. You're right. And at this point, Jen arrives and harangues him for not being ready for the romantic dip that they had engineered. In a very creepy twist, she knows where he keeps his swimming trunks. Yeah, she hands him 2 pairs, I think a blue and a yellow pair, and tells him... Yeah, he looks good in the blue ones. Yeah, what's he been up to with... Listen, let's not. I mean, Sam is creepy, but this is... maybe Philip's also a bit creepy. Yeah, she advises that he get there and be swimming when Kate turns up, not to even look at her, just tell her his side of the story and leave. I'm not sure if that's the... She gives her sister similar advice in a minute as well. Yeah. She gives him a good luck kiss and advises him at this point, as you say, to wear the blue trunks, which he looks smashing in. Over in Catherine's cabin, I think Jennifer's got back and Catherine's prevaricating. She's not sure that it's the right thing to do to go swimming with another man the night before her wedding.
Jen obviously is trying to reassure her that she should, and she's pretending that she doesn't want to see him. I think she just wants to be convinced so that she doesn't feel like she's doing something wrong.
Yeah. She tells her sister not to even look at him, just listen to his story and leave. So it's similar advice to both of them.
I think what she says is, look, it's your ex, give him this final chance to say goodbye and make it sort of a clean
But
break.
Catherine doesn't feel she owes a goodbye after what he did in Bora Bora, so she still doesn't seem to understand or know the story, but Jennifer knows it.
The captain knows it.
And the captain knows it. The younger sister said he was shipwrecked. He got back as soon as he could. But then she does give a bit of information. She said she read the letters that Catherine threw out.
Yes.
So maybe Catherine could have known much sooner, but wasn't interested.
Because of what Weather had told her. So it poisoned her outlook.
We're having to piece this together quite a bit. Anyway, she tells her that she should let Sam tell her what really happened. And then Catherine agrees that if she doesn't do that, she'll always wonder.
Yeah. In the corridor, we see her head to the pool area, but also see that the henchman has followed her.
Yes, unfortunately there's a problem at the pool.
What's that?
There's no water.
That's not a pool, is it? It's just a hole.
Pit. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently the water gets drained at 11 o'clock, but Sam didn't know that.
No. It's lucky he didn't dive in.
And after a bit of back and forth between the pair of them, he asks her if she really loves Vinny.
Yes, she thinks that's a stupid question.
Yes, but
that's what I came for.
Yeah, but he doesn't believe her because she didn't answer him directly.
Yes, but then he uses some pretty dodgy language saying he can't let her marry someone she doesn't love. It's not up to you, mate.
Yeah, it is a bit dodgy, but I think he means it, best for her. He's not saying you have to marry me. But
yeah. Anyway, she says that she never said she was not in love with him.
And at this point, she reveals to him the impact his leaving had on her.
Philip, when you first disappeared, I blamed myself for being such a spoiled brat. I knew you couldn't afford my lifestyle, but it didn't make any sense that you wouldn't take Daddy's offer to work for the family. And at first I thought that was your pride. And I guess I admired that. But when you showed me that silly little apartment and you wanted me to live there, I was too afraid. Philip, if I could do it all over again, I would move into that apartment this very moment. But I can't.
Why not?
Because there are some things we're obligated to do.
Marriage isn't one of them.
Sometimes it is. You never had a family. You can't understand what it means to see them in trouble.
Catherine, you should always love your family and do whatever it takes to help and protect them. But you can't lose sight of your own happiness.
I did love you. More than I've loved anybody in my whole life.
Sam then kisses her, but she pulls away eventually, saying it's too late. She doesn't love him anymore and she can't afford to.
Yeah, and her state of mind isn't helped by him telling her not to let a second chance of happiness sail away.
He has to slip a pun in. There's no need.
No, not at this point.
And at this point, she runs off, and he, I think, should just let her go and think about it, but Sam being Sam doesn't.
No, he follows her, and rather than find Catherine, he finds a gun stuck in his back by the henchman. So, and then we have an exterior shot of the ship the next morning with, for some reason, Maggie Thatcher being paged.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the trivia.
Oh, will we? Okay.
Briefly, yeah.
Right, okay. We head back to the Farrington cabin.
Yes, Catherine and her mother are stressing because Jennifer's not there, but she does show up.
Yeah, she's in her wedding dress and agitated, especially when Jen comes in and confirms that she hasn't found him.
Yes. Jennifer starts freaking out, but Catherine calms her by saying that she's the one getting married in 20 minutes and she's the one who gets to be the basket case.
Yeah.
It turns out it's Philip.
Yes.
He's missing, but their mother then gives them an insight into her own wedding.
What was that?
She says it's okay, he's probably finding it hard because she had a boyfriend called Teddy who she wasn't allowed to marry.
What a thing to be saying to their kids.
I know. And she had to marry their father instead, which she doesn't regret at all. Totally, definitely don't. However, having spoken to Teddy after she married their father, she feels like Philip probably is embarrassed, and once the wedding's finished, he'll be fine, he'll show up again.
I mean, so do you think that this unconvincing story, obviously it had the opposite effect than what she intended, although do you think that subconsciously she was trying to give this message to her daughter?
Perhaps, yeah. The same as at the end of that clip earlier when the father Weathers was giving her the talk. He looks quite sad at the end when he realises what he's doing.
Sure. So a teary Jen asks Kate if it's okay if she marries Sam when it's all over.
He's been grooming her.
Yeah. Although she's so precocious, she's probably been grooming him.
Well, maybe. Catherine says, without saying yes, and in fact possibly guiding her in a different direction, says that when the time comes, she hopes she marries someone that she truly loves. And then Jennifer asks if she thinks Philip is okay, and Catherine says she's sure their mother's right.
Yeah, he's probably having the time of his life, but no one's convincing in this episode about their true emotions.
No. Down in the
below deck.
Below deck, I had engine room.
Yeah, well, it's like the Lethal Weapon torture room.
It's engineering.
Yeah. I can't get it. Anyway, we cut to this and we find that the opposite is the case. He's not having the time of his life.
No, he's strung up and sweating.
Well, he's topless, oiled up.
Like a lawyer in a southern courtroom.
Yes, hanging by his wrists as he's being tortured.
Yes. Vinny and his henchmen are there, and Vinny gives him a quote from the Mikado, but claims it's from Dostoevsky.
Gilbert and Sullivan.
Yeah, Gilbert Sullivan's Mikado. It's about letting the punishment fit the crime.
Right, there you go. Now, they let him down, and they sort of, they sarcastically ask if he slept all right. He wasn't hung up like that all night by your wrist. Wouldn't
work.
No, you'd be dead just about.
Yeah, at least your shoulders would be sore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was swimming at midnight, so it's maybe only been a few hours. I don't know.
Listen, have you ever by your wrist for a few
I've
hours?
never been strung up on my wrists, I have to say. So I don't know.
Well, that one time, but you're lying down on a bed.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
Oh.
Sam comes back to this point about punishment fitting the crime and says that if his crime is to protect Catherine from Vinny, then eventually he's going to need to kill everyone that loves her.
Yeah, he agrees that he can't kill everyone, and then does the James Bond baddie thing of dropping him into a trash expeller rather than ensuring his death first with a gun.
A Star Wars thing, isn't it?
Well, yes, I've got that next, yeah.
Okay.
But the concept of not killing your...
Yes, leaving them to die and going off to do your own thing, yes. Al, at this point, shows up complaining more about this pollution. He says that by the year 2000 there'll be, 18 million tonnes or something like that?
Yeah, well, there you go.
I think it's probably worse than that when we actually got there.
Sure. And yeah, as you said, it's a bit like the Star Wars as Al tries to talk Sam into an escape that involves piling up this garbage.
Yeah, climbing out of the rubbish pit.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a human waste in there?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Meanwhile...
Yeah, we get this sort of intercutting of the wedding and the garbage escape.
Yeah, Catherine is walking down the aisle with her father, and eventually, and at the last second, Sam manages to pull himself to safety, but only has 2 minutes to stop the wedding.
Yes, he hauls himself up as the chance to object to the wedding comes and goes.
Yeah, Al has appeared there, and he's shouting on Sam to enact this cliche, this TV, this movie cliche, but it doesn't show.
No, but instead, Catherine sticks up for herself.
Which is nice.
Saying that she doesn't love Vinny, she can't marry him.
And at this point, Vinny suggests Weathers has a word with her.
But he backs up his daughter.
For once, he shows some backbone and supports Catherine's decision, and Vinny tells him it's a big mistake. However, the incoming Sam shouts that it's not a mistake as he stands there in his trunks and garbage.
Yes, must be stinking.
Oh, absolutely reeking, and tells the captain to place the man under arrest for attempted murder.
Well, the captain has no evidence to support that accusation, so he's going to put both Sam and Vinny in their quarters.
That was a bit Star Trek-y. We've seen that quite a few times.
What part?
Where the different parties were locked up in Star Trek, until we can find out who is...
Yeah. I remember that, like the one with the Ilan of Troyes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or the ones where it's like, who is the real Kirk? Don't know, right? You're both getting locked up until we find out.
Different rooms, yeah. Don't talk to each other. Vinny won't take this, though. He just starts fighting people, but Sam takes him down as Weathers uses his boxing skills to lay out the henchman.
Yeah, much to the delight of Jenny.
I did like his pugilistic
Yeah,
pose.
the old school boxing poses. Yeah. At this point, Catherine rushes over, kisses Sam, and
Oh, that's
declares her
disgusting.
undying love for
I've
him.
never seen anything more disgusting in my entire life.
In what sense?
Kissing a man covered in garbage.
Oh, I've seen a lot more disgusting than that. Yeah.
In family programming.
Okay, I was going to say, do you not have the internet?
Yeah. Al, at this point, slips in a whole lot of future information.
Yeah, they end up having 6 kids, but not only that.
Yeah, Jenny's going to learn this Bora Bora story in detail, write a novel from it, and make enough money to keep the family going until the cruise business picks up in the 70s.
Okay, did the cruise business pick back up in the 70s?
Cunard's still going.
Yeah, but does it pick up? I suppose.
I think so.
Yeah, when planes first came out of initial downturn, and then back to the sort of love boat of the 70s, when people realised that planes weren't that romantic or exotic.
Yeah, and probably once the worst part of the Cold War was finished and Vietnam was over, there's a lot of folk wanting to go on holiday.
Yeah, or when planes, I suppose, when they first came out in the 30s and the 40s commercially, they were, they were more luxurious, and then people realised that airlines, you couldn't offer that service, so just squeeze them all in, and it was actually quite an unpleasant experience. And if you wanted to travel in luxury, you had to go back to the ships, I suppose. Yeah.
Jennifer notes that she loves a happy ending, and Sam leaps into what appears to be a woman in red tights and high heels, but a quick look in the mirror suggests that might not be the case.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's into the body I've got here of a street hooker. Probably not the correct term these days, but that's pretty much what it is back then.
Is that what it was? I thought it was a man dressed as a woman from the reflection.
Oh, right, no, I'm not sure about the reflection. I wouldn't have thought, oh man, I don't know.
It was quite a masculine face. I could be wrong. It was only a brief glimpse.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, that's the end.
Yeah.
I've already asked some of these questions that I've got for you. Do you think there was human waste? Yes, definitely.
Uh-huh.
Think it was on Sam? Yes.
Yeah. Sam liked it yet because we know he's a pervert.
What do you think caused
2 Sams, 1 Al
Weathers to kind of support Catherine in the end?
Well, I think deep down he knew that it was wrong. He was doing this for the money, but he finally got to the point where he appreciated the turmoil and the unhappiness it was causing his family, and he thought, I can't put up with this anymore. This guy's a scumbag, and I finally, it's too much even for me.
And I've already asked you about Vinny's felonies. I don't really understand what Sam was trying to achieve by bringing them up to the captain.
No, I think so. I don't think
so that if he claimed it in front of the family, he'd be backed up, but then he doesn't.
No.
Any other thoughts?
Nah, it was alright.
Yeah. It wasn't very similar to the Columbo one in the boat.
No, the Columbo one was a lot better.
There's at least one actor in common.
We do have that, yeah. Do you have the other Scottish connection then? The obvious one?
What was the obvious one?
Well, the ship was built in Glasgow.
Okay, it was. It said Liverpool on it, so obviously it's sailed from Liverpool.
Yeah, it was registered in Liverpool, but that's just
built in the Clyde.
Built in the Clyde, yeah. Alongside the QE2 as well and all the other a lot of the other famous ships, but not the Titanic, which sank.
No,
take responsibility for that one.
Sinky ones. No. This didn't air until the 2nd of May 1990, almost a month after the previous episode.
Okay.
Don't know why.
No.
Directed by Joe Napolitano.
Could that have been Gulf War stuff?
I was thinking Gulf War. Was that not slightly later?
I don't know.
Anyway, directed by Joe Napolitano, who did Pool Hall Blues. This was his 2nd episode. He's got another 10 to come. Hear more about him in the podcast for that episode.
Okay.
Written by your old friend Deborah Pratt. Follows us on Twitter now.
I've noticed that, yeah.
This was the 7th of her 20 writing credits for the show. You can hear more about her if you go back to the podcast for Star Crossed. Catherine was played by Beverly Leach.
Ah, yeah. Recognise her.
This was of course you recognise her. This was our only Quantum Leap episode. She also appeared in shows like Frasier, Mad Men, Star Trek Voyager, Modern Family. But you remember her almost certainly from her one Columbo, which was Dee Dee Ross in Butterfly.
I think it's a bit of a favourite of ours. Maybe not the highest quality episode, but there's lots of good things in it.
There definitely are. She was in 2 Sledgehammers as well. She was a TV reporter in A Clockwork Hammer. And she played police officer Jenkins in Wild About Hammer, both 2nd season episodes.
Good ones, yeah.
Now 63 years old, she remains an active performer as well as an activist. She's been a member of the Southern Poverty Law Centre for over 20 years.
Very good.
J.G. Hertzler, favourite of mine, played Weathers. What a voice that man has. This was one of his... this was his only Quantum Leap, but he's appeared in other shows like Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek Enterprise, Star Trek Lower Decks, Seinfeld, Diagnosis Murder, lots of others. But for me, he's always going to be General Martok from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, a memorable and iconic character in that series.
All right. Did you watch that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He's now 72, still active.
Did you recognise him straight away? Did you?
Oh, I knew before I watched that he was in it.
Okay.
I wouldn't recognise his face because he doesn't look like a Klingon in this. But his voice is unmistakable. James Harper played Vinny the Viper. This was his only Quantum Leap episode. He's another Star Trek Deep Space Nine alumnus. Also been in films and shows like Armageddon, Dallas, Frasier, and he's got a recurring role in the StarCraft video game series. He also remains active, mainly with voice work. He's now 74 years old. Catherine's mother, Marion, was played by Patricia Harty. This was her only Quantum Leap. She's also been on shows like Bonanza, St. Elsewhere, and Charmed. She's now 81. She's not getting any screen credits since 2003, so she's probably done with that for now.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, Juliet Sorci played Jenny. This was her only Quantum Leap. She also appeared in shows like The Twilight Zone, Baywatch, CSI Miami. She's now 43, still active. Not much trivia to go on here. Queen Mary stopped sailing in 1971. It's a floating museum and hotel in California now, and parts of the episode were filmed on board the ship. The Margaret Thatcher one, wee bit interesting. So when this came out in America, she was the Prime Minister.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time it aired in the UK, she wasn't anymore.
Right.
So if you're watching it in the UK, you're maybe thinking, oh, that's what she did after she got deposed from the Tory leadership, going on a cruise.
But why? Because obviously it's not set in the 80s.
I think it's just a joke. It's like, oh, look who's on this how fancy this ship is. The Prime Minister's on it.
But she would have been a Prime Minister.
Well, she was in America.
No, but this was set in the 50s.
Ah, of course. When she was younger.
No, she wouldn't have been anyone.
What year was she born?
I don't know what year she was born. I mean, yeah, she'd been alive. She could have been on it, but it wouldn't have made any sense.
I don't think you're meant to think about it that much.
Right, okay. It was just,
because if she was on it should have been 10 or something.
Yeah.
20, 50, I don't know what year she was born. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The less we say about Margaret Thatcher, the better. I do enjoy that. There's a video on YouTube when they started to interview people in Scotland when she died. And this wee old lady says she would dig her up and wrap her in garlic and bury her again just to make sure she was dead. And
then what was it? There was a well-known website, Is Thatcher Dead Yet? Where you would check every day. It was like, nope, until one day it was yes.
There was actually a Thatcher death party in George Square. I didn't attend it, but I walked past it on the day. Mm-hmm. Anyway, good times.
Not a well-loved person.
Not up here. In terms of things that we learned, Al claims to have actually been in love once over the course of his 5 marriages, and we find out who with in the next episode. Anything else?
Yeah, well, just to confirm that he is an environmentalist.
Yes, we have had that hinted before. That is confirmed here.
Mm-hmm.
On this date, 3rd of June 54, any?
No, I struggled with this one. The Canadian singer Dan Hill was born, and Doris Day was #1 in the UK.
Okay, so also underway in America at that time were the Army McCarthy hearings. And it's only a few days later that Joseph McCarthy was asked whether he has no sense of decency by the Army prosecutor. 12 days after the date of this episode, UEFA was formed during the 1954 World Cup. We're
straying a little bit into like just things now that year. 12 days after it.
12 days, it's within the same month. And that World Cup was interesting because in the final,
Uruguay played...
No, West Germany played Hungary.
Did you say the first World Cup?
54.
All right, sorry.
So the World in the group stage, Hungary beat West Germany 8-2, but West Germany beat them in the final when they had the rematch.
Oh, all right, yeah.
And Hungary never won the World Cup. The magical Magyar team was split up a couple years later by the revolution.
They were the best team in the world for a while, the Hungarian team.
Yeah. It was ruined by politics.
Yeah.
Next week, final episode of the season, MIA. Is that not a singer? Anyway, Sam has to persuade the wife of a Navy officer that her husband is still alive. So we will see you in 1969.
Till then,
cheerio.
Bye-bye.